the same thing.
Chris, a lot of people watching at home might think, oh gosh, a guy 6'9" can hit and block. He'd be a great beach volleyball player, but not true. In particular, what St. John just said, you got to have the all-around game.
Well, he said he could pass, he said he could hit, but he's also great on defense, and he's got great conditioning. That separates him from the 6'9" player. Look at him move.
Randy Stoklos trying to hit it over, misses the dink, and he's upset now. It's nothing.
You hit it not super hard. You hit it, yes. Clean play, Randy. Oh, God, it was clean. It came off real quick.
What they're talking about is the dig. When you spike a ball, you're allowed to dig open hand if you're a defensive player, but only if the ball is driven. If the ball is not driven, if it's not a spike, if it's just a lob, that's no good. And that's what Stoklos was complaining about.
Yeah, he thought it rolled off on the dig. Mike Dodd to serve. Good defense by Hovland and Dodd, and they get a point as a result.
That's one thing. If Hovland and Dodd can play defense, they're big and strong players that block and hit well at the net. But if they play well in the backcourt, they can really do some damage.
Of those tournament wins that you saw, Mike Dodd has 3 this year. 2 were with his current partner, Tim Hovland. Another with Karch Karai, of course, a great player in the Olympics in 1984 for the United States.
Historically, Lynn, Hovland and Dodd get off to a slow start. Tim Hovland plays in Europe indoor for an Italian club team for which he's paid very well, but he gets back late to the beach circuit, and so they usually get off to a very slow start, playing better towards the middle of the summer.
Okay. St. John Smith with a back set hits a nice little cut shot, and here we have another dispute. The crowd is rowdy, and of course they've been watching volleyball out here in the afternoon sun all day, and well, their refreshments are quite strong, so they're not afraid to be vocal.
Warm outside and warm inside. You get an idea of the finesse of St. John Smith. He's got the power. Watch this cut shot. Cut means cutting it across the net into the open area. But I think what Smith and Stoklos are angry about, people in the crowd giving them a little guff.
They're kind of the visitors. Hovland and Dodd would be more of the 2 locals and probably crowd favorites. Good up by Stoklos. Smith has to bump it over. Hovland with a bump set to Dodd. He dinks it. Stoklos gives it up. A bump set, but Stoklos hits it long, side out. And that pleases Tim Hovland. He would love to beat the team of Randy Stoklos and St. John Smith. They've won 9 tournaments already this summer. So we asked the competitive Hovland, how can you do that?
Well, today we have to side out, make the game go at least an hour and a half, hour and 15 minutes. Last time we played them good in Laguna. We sided out, we kept them off guard, we served deep and short. Last time we played them today, we didn't side out enough. Randy's blocking some balls and St. John's bigging some balls. But I think we side out, we can put some pressure on them and make it a good game and hopefully come out victors at the end.
Tim Hovland, an outstanding player at USC, 3-time All-American. He serves. Randy Stoklos, 2-hand set right up on top of the net. Good dig by Hovland. Doesn't get a real good set, but Stoklos can't get it up.
I found it interesting, Hovland's comments. He wants to side out, make the match last longer, but I think their best chance to win is to win quickly. And that particular point went down very quickly. Hovland very, very quick. Gets the nice set from Dodd. You don't see it, but it goes right up on the net. Actually, a little back. Rainbows it into the corner.
Well, they're winning quickly right now, 3-0. Points can come few and far between here, but this is a fairly quick scoring game. Oh, there's a good driven ball by St. John Smith right down the line.
And that's really the definition of a driven ball. Does it go down? Does it have any kind of trajectory on it? If the ball's going up or soft, it's not a driven ball.
St. John Smith, a veteran of beach tournaments, 30 years old, a graduate of UCLA, 1979, degree in economics, with a jump serve.
Come here. Angle.
Oh, Smith was there. He got it up a little, but not quite enough, and that ball was driven.
Interesting that most of the time, when teams play Hovland and Dodd, they will serve Mike Dodd. He's the weaker spiker, but Smith and Stoklos choosing to serve Hovland, and so far it hasn't paid off.
Mike Dodd, the far left of your picture, he will put the ball in play. Doesn't do much with the serve right there. Bump set by St. John Smith. Stoklos screams it, but a great block by Hovland, and that's a point. It is now 4-0.
One of the things that Hovland and Dodd have done this summer, they're serving Stoklos a little more now. Hovland guesses right, goes up, and stuffs it down.
The surprising thing to me, Chris Marlowe, is that the height of the net is both the same in the sand outdoors as it is indoors, 8 feet.
And much more difficult to move around and jump in.
Very easy play there. 1, 2, 3, and side out by big, powerful 6'4" Randy Stoklos. All these players are 6'4", with the exception of St. John Smith, who stands in at 6'3".
He didn't quite grow as much as his mother had hoped.
He is a big, powerful player, probably hits as hard as anyone on the beach. And the 26-year-old Stoklos puts it in. Great serve. It's dug by St. John. And a nice hit by Dodd, and we have a side out. So they stay in control at 4-0. And is this an upset in the making? This is a double elimination tournament over 2 days, and Smith and Stoklos have not lost.
A great set by Hovland that time, and Dodd puts it away. Another point.
So in the event that Tim Hovland and Mike Dodd win this game, that would be the first loss for Smith and Stoklos, and when you have to play yet another game to 15. If Smith and Stoklos win this game, they win the tournament. Tim Hovland serves. The dink is dug. And it's now 5-0. And they changed sides after 5 points. We'll be back to look at some more. Chris told us down courtside there's not a lot of wind. However, I think Hovland and Dodd got their points on the good side, what we call, because they were serving into the wind.
Usually the south side of the beach is the good side because the wind usually either blows onshore or from north to south. So you want the wind in your face if you can.
Let's look at this point one more time. A brilliant one by the team of Hovland and Dodd.
They're serving Stoklos. He goes right up, and Dodd this time, a little change in strategy. Dodd blocking at the net and Hovland playing on defense. So far, Hovland's strategy paying off.
To the tune of 6-0. They serve Stoklos again. Oh, they called that a throw by Mike Dodd. It didn't come out of the hands cleanly, according to tournament referee Matt Gage.
And the definition of a throw, it sticks too long or it contacts from right to left. Right to left transfer, a double contact. That's what Matt Gage called.
A good pass by Dodd and an excellent set. And Dodd uses the angle off the block effectively, as you could see from our camera behind the court.
Now, one thing about Smith and Stoklos, they won the winner's bracket. They've been sitting. They're not warmed up. And I think that's the reason Hovland and Dodd have gotten off to such a great start. 5-0. Smith and Stoklos just not in sync yet.
You can see the Pacific Ocean in the background. The ball goes long. Yet another point for the team of Hovland and Dodd. Now, I'm thinking Smith and Stoklos, Chris Marlowe, may need a timeout here.
Well, you're allowed 2 timeouts per team per game. They haven't taken one yet. And Hovland and Dodd are working on Stoklos. They're serving Randy, making St. John bump set, and then trying to block Randy at the net. Now Hovland will try the block.
Angle.
Great angle by Randy Stoklos.
It's so important to make the correct call. You heard angle, angle. And that time, Stoklos going up to spike the ball had all the options. Now, right in the middle of this play, Smith in the white hat yells angle, which means cross the court, and Stoklos listens and puts it away.
Like doubles in tennis, the players will have signals. Of course, verbally, they'll have signals during the point as to where to hit it. Mike Dodd bumps it to Hovland. Hovland with the set. It's driven. St. John Smith digs it. Two-hand set by Stoklos, and St. John just dinks it over, and there's nobody home.
We talked about communication, Lynn. An outdoor court is the same size as an indoor court, but there are only 2 players to cover the action. On this particular play, you see Hovland, he calls the play, Dodd covers behind, and Smith alertly hits it in the corner.
He guessed wrong. A bump set by Hovland. Blocked by Stoklos, but they've got it.
That's what they need, Lynn. They need Stoklos to start turning on the block.
Now Matt Gage says that the up by Stoklos was not clean. We talked with Randy earlier about his strategy in the game.
Well, me and St. John, we've choreographed the blocking and defense as so. Myself, I'll try to take away the strength of a hitter, which is normally his cross-court hit. if I can do that and make him shoot the ball around my block, I'm going to have St. John, one of the fastest guys on the court, running down that play. And with him popping up with that ball and me setting, we're scoring points, and that's what we're after.
Yeah, that's right.
Randy Stoklos, a native of Pacific Palisades, now makes his home in Santa Monica like St. John Smith. And as we see the score 7-1, I have to remind you, the crowd definitely is in favor of this team that is serving the ball, Hovland and Dodd. They're more the locals.
And they're not the favorites. Team, or usually fans always cheer against the team that's won the most tournaments. You mentioned, Lynn, that Smith and Stoklos have won 9 out of the 13 events on the tour this year, so they're the bad guys. Yeah, seeded number 2, they are the underdogs, but they are still one of the all-time great teams in beach volleyball. They've won the World Championship 3 times, so Hovland and Dodd have some credentials.
St. John Smith still using that jump serve effectively. Almost a good block by Randy Stoklos, but the ball goes out, so we have a side out. And the very successful team of Mike Dodd and Tim Hovland to serve. These guys are all great athletes. Dodd was a very successful basketball player at San Diego State and was drafted in the NBA by the San Diego Clippers. Hovland could have been a Division I player if he wanted to in college without question. The ball is hit and tapped down the line, but wide by Smith. Thus, another point for the team of Hovland and Dodd. Now they go up to a surprising 8-1 lead.
This is the kind of lead they want. They want to close this game out and get on with the next one as quickly as they can. Hopefully disrupt the momentum of Smith and Stoklos. Right now, Smith and Stoklos have no momentum.
And that ball is hit long by Mike Dodd. A golden opportunity there for yet another point.
Now, one thing we have to look for is the physical conditioning of Tim Hovland and Mike Dodd. They had that long match, 1917, with Obradovich and Ludi's.
Take care of it. Okay, St. John?
What kind of effect would that have, especially on Dodd, because he's physically the weaker of the two, of Hovland and Dodd?
Oh, there's a quick bump and a quick hit by Hovland.
One of the reasons you don't want to serve Tim Hovland, one of the best quick hitters in the world, not only indoor but on the beach. This time Dodd, he shanks the ball up a little closer to the net than Hovland would like it, so Hovland just says goodbye.
The ball is knocked long, I believe.
I think they're going to call a net on the play.
Okay.
Mike Dodd netted, so Smith and Stoklos will get the ball.
Smith and Stoklos needing some points, especially on what we call the good side. A bad pass by Mike Dodd, and they get that. So they will change sides now with Mike Dodd and Tim Hovland leading this game 8-2. We'll be coming back to Hermosa Beach, California. Another gorgeous, beautiful day here down at the ocean. Beautiful for volleyball. Let's go down now to Duffy Wilson.
Lynn, I just moved out here on the Strand just behind the volleyball tournament and ran across a couple of gentlemen that are going to be going to work pretty soon. Mike Haynes of the LA Raiders and Mark Gastineau of the New York Jets, enjoying a little break from the hard work of the NFL.
Yeah, this is a lot better than New York, I'll tell you. It beats the weather back there. It's raining every day back there, and it's been sun shining, and there's a lot of women, and you know, Mike is a good friend of mine. He plays on my favorite team, and I'm glad to be here.
Mike, do you believe that?
Of course, why not? The LA Raiders are a good team, and everybody likes to play for the Raiders, at least for Al Davis once in their life. They should.
Once in your life.
Yeah. Let's move on down the Strand. Thanks, guys.
Okay, thank you, guys. St. John Smith now trailing in this game. Will put the ball in play with his jump serve, I suppose. Yep. And they need some points, down 2-8. Mike Dodd hitting apparently around the block of Randy Stoklos. Few ever hit over the block.
You know, Dodd has the appearance of always being tired. You take a look at him. 6'4", 185. He's not well muscled, but he's thin, he's wiry. But he's always got that look on his face. He looks a little tired.
The only player of the 4 who is married, by the way.
No.
Heard once again the call, high line. Smith just over the top of the block, so he will serve.
Tops are on the knob. The tops are on the knob.
These players do a lot of modeling in the off-season during the week. They make good money at that, many of them anyway. Tim Hovland has to chase down the ball, gets it over.
Could be a point.
And it is. A much-needed one for the team of St. John Smith and Randy Stoklos.
Problem with Smith and Stoklos so far in this match has just been the coordination. This time, Smith exactly in the right spot. Stoklos with a nice handset. And he calls the shot. Angle, angle. So Smith and Stoklos get a point.
They still trail, however, 8-3. 6'4", Randy Stoklos will put it into play. And another error or mistake by the team of Hovland and Dodd. So now they're starting to slip a little bit. We had a chance to visit earlier with Mike Dodd to talk about their strategy as a team.
Well, I think the biggest strength of Tim and I is that we play well together and that we put up a very solid block. And that when you have a solid block, you're able to move around it defensively. You might notice that I'm always moving behind Tim, and Tim gets up so high, he intimidates people. They make mistakes, and this is a game of mistakes. And the more you can intimidate and the more you can cause people to make errors, the more successful you're going to be.
Well, the team of Hovland and Dodd just made an error. Let's see if that'll get Smith and Stoklos back in the game. Serve goes long. So that's a side out. Tim Hovland in the white tank top will serve now.
Trying to work on Smith again.
And that's a point.
Once again, the team of Hovland and Dodd right in the right spot. Coordination working beautifully. Hovland just right over the top. Dodd with a perfect bump set. And this time, Hovland hits angle. Smith guesses into the line, and the ball goes down.
And that serve is long. So now the hole is dug by St. John Smith and Randy Stoklos. They're not on the good serving side. They're down 9-4. Chris, if they could somehow manage 1 or 2 points, I would think they're right back into this game, going back to the good side. But if they don't, they're in a heap of trouble.
Well, I think Smith and Stoklos, what they have to do is serve Dodd more. Dodd appears to be tired. They have that long match, and I think they have to work on Dodd. Anticipating if Dodd and Hovland win this particular game, there's a good block that they'll have another game to work on him and really tire him out. So I think their strategy should be stay away from Hovland.
Well, a good call there. It worked for 1 point. It is now 9-5. Smith and Stoklos trail.
Smith and Stoklos, especially Smith, he has a jump serve which usually hard to control, but he hits it easy enough. Let's see where he goes.
Go!
Right back to Dodd. And that is a good hit by Dodd off of not that good of a set by Tim Hovland.
Ball was back just a little. Dodd doing a good job getting that ball down.
And there you see Hovland saying, nice hit, Mike, as if to say, yeah, I didn't give you a very good set. I'm always intrigued over a 2-day tournament. They're together so much. Teams, these players really do have to get along. Their personalities have to mesh. Otherwise, they just won't play well.
Yeah, it's just like a marriage. Sometimes there are breakups. You don't have to play with the same partner each week, but the better teams do.
Chance for a point. He hits the net. Oh, that's what the crowd comes to see. That's the home run. Straight down hit by Randy Stoklos.
Now, sometimes because of the block lane, you don't get to see the straight down crank. Now, remember, the ball can go up. You said 90 miles an hour, but I think this hits triple figures, 100 miles an hour. Dodd gets up a little slowly. And normally, early in a match, Dodd would put this ball away, but he tapes and it goes right to Stoklos. They choose not to block. And goodbye. Look at the thump on that and the bounce. Got a good 20-foot bounce on that one.
A block by Stoklos again, but the block goes out.
Dodd just doing everything he can to shove that ball off Randy out of bounds. And I think Dodd is tired. Hands on his knees.
As we mentioned, Mike Dodd, a basketball player at San Diego State, and as you can see, an All-American volleyball player. Not very often, dual sport man in Division I level.
You don't see that too often anymore, do you? Oh, what a dig.
And Smith hits it down the middle and puts it away. So he makes the great dig, and then he puts it away. A great play by the team of Smith and Stoklos.
And give a little credit to Randy Stoklos at the net, funneling the ball to Smith. As Stoklos said, Smith, one of the fastest men in beach volleyball. There he is again.
And there's an important point right there for Randy Stoklos and St. John Smith. They are right into this contest very much now. They had been sitting around a long time, but you can tell that they're starting to get warmed up.
Stoklos starting to take charge at the net, and that's where Randy has been so good this summer, at the net.
So the players change sides now. The big lead, 7-0, that Hovland and Dodd had in the finals of the Miller Lite Hermosa Beach Open. Lynn Shackelford along with Chris Marlowe. Let's go down now to Duffy Wilson.
Thanks, Lynn. Great action here today in the volleyball tournament, and great scenery here in Hermosa Beach. Sometimes my attention gets taken away by the beautiful women here, and as promised, here we go with the Miss Miller Lite Beauty Contest. Ladies, do your stuff.
Back to volleyball action. Unlike that contest, there'll be some winners and losers in this one. Right now, the team of Dodd and Hovland leading 9-6.
You got it. Oh!
Great play by Hovland. Dodd. Great play by both teams.
Most of the time when you hustle, you're rewarded. Hovland going to get the ball on serve receive. Two great defensive plays during this rally. Hovland blasted down the line. Watch Smith on his back, pokes it up, and Stoklos with a great cut shot. But Dodd plows through the sand. Hovland scoops it up, and it lands right in the coffin corner. No points scored on that play, but I think it's worth at least 1/2 point mentally.
Well, the players are going to rest up as the crowd watches on now. 30-year-old Mike Dodd out of Manhattan Beach will put it into play, and he serves Randy Stoklos. And there's a point for Hovland and Dodd. So as Smith and Stoklos start to make a run, they answer that, and it's now 10-6.
Now the problem on that particular play was Smith yelled over him, and Stoklos goes angle. That's where Dodd is. Dodd, another great dig. Boy, he's moving well now, and he puts it away. You have to listen to your partner.
5 points away from victory, and he serves it wide.
Now, one thing you can do to combat that when you're playing defense, sometimes you can listen to the other player's call. If he says over him, you run over him. If he yells angle, you run to the angle. Sometimes defensive players will do that. Listen for the call.
Over.
And Dodd hits it down the line. His partner just told him to hit it over. He did hit it over and around in a way. Tim Hovland, 28 years old, lives in Manhattan Beach. He's from Playa del Rey. He serves.
Heard the cut call.
Oh, good up by Randy Stoklos down at the other end. And he puts it away.
And if you're wondering, you're not allowed to do that. You can't dig the ball like Hovland and then run and chase your own ball. But Hovland, that was an easy dig for him.
He wanted to. He looked over at his partner, realizing his partner was stuck in the sand on his heels, and he wanted to go over and hit it himself. St. John Smith, the most successful player of all time in wins and money earned, serves. Great block by Randy Stoklos. That's why he is called one of the great blockers on the beach.
6'4", 210 pounds, and he can jump. Watch him go up, He's in the orange trunks and blasts it down. Hovland that time just overmatched.
10-7, and here they come. Smith and Stoklos getting into the match now. A good and important side out for Tim Hovland and Mike Dodd.
Once again, the angle call, and Hovland listening very closely.
Game is to 15. You can only score when you serve. You must win by 2 points. If Smith and Stoklos win this game, they will win the tournament.
Good dig, but Hovland just can't get it out of the net.
Hovland very active out there right now, Chris. He's bouncing around, playing great defense. Mike Dodd doesn't seem to be on his toes as much.
Now, Hovland, one of the more interesting characters on the beach. He's very intense, very volatile, very motivated, tremendous competitor.
Very successful as a player in Italy. Led USC to a NCAA championship in 1982. Good dig by St. John Smith. And he just hit Randy Stoklos over the block of Mike Dodd.
Communication much better now between Smith and Stoklos. The ball is dug by Dodd. He makes a nice play. Hovland trying to get Dodd near the net. Hovland stays in the angle this time. Smith yelling over, and Stoklos listens. Actually, a lot of that beach communication really made popular by Ron Lang, Ron Von Hagen in the 60s and the 70s. They were the masters of over him or go, go, go.
Oh, there is a back set by Randy Stoklos. Good hit by St. John, but Hovland's all over it, and he puts it away. So the competitive Tim Hovland is really starting to get into it now, and he'd better, because their big lead is starting to wash away.
Really a tremendous rivalry between Smith and Stoklos and Hovland and Dodd. Right at Hovland, pops it up, gets the great set from Dodd. That makes the play. The set right on the net, Hovland thumps it down. Too tight. That ball just set too tight, Lynn. Used to be in the old days when there was no blocking over, they would set the ball right on the net. But now if you set the ball within a foot or two, you're going to get stuffed. So you need to set the ball at least 2 feet back.
Smith and Stoklos are on what we call the good side. With one more point being scored, they will change sides. So Smith and Stoklos really need this point on the good side. There's the back set that Chris Marlowe was talking about. They don't get it. They will change sides with the team of Tim Hovland and Mike Dodd leading 12-8.
Well, just when we said that Mike Dodd was a little tired, he's come up with 2 great defensive plays and a beautiful block. Watch Dodd. He goes up. He's going to guess this time, jumps right into the angle and blocks it down. Just like a pitcher and a batter, you're taking a chance, and when you guess right, you get one.
So the top 2 seeded teams in this 32-man winners in pro beach volleyball, we can tell you that the winning team will split $6,400 in this tournament.
And it's interesting that money really didn't come into play until 1976 when $5,000 was offered as the first prize.
Much to the disappointment of my working partner, Chris Marlowe, who won several opens and I guess dinner certificates.
And I've got plenty of igloo coolers also.
The score is 12-8. Tim Hovland and Mike Dodd leading, and they are on the good side, so they have a golden opportunity right here to put this game away and force yet another one in this double elimination tournament. Tim Hovland yelling, imploring his teammates. We had a chance early to visit with Mike Dodd and talk about what it's like to play with Javi.
To play with Tim Hovland is an incredible experience just because of his intensity and the way that he can push you out there. I think a lot of times we play off of each other because I'm kind of more the mellow half, and I sometimes calm him down when he's too hyper and too out of control, and sometimes when I'm just almost asleep out there, he wakes me up and gets me going. So it's great to play with Tim. He's really exciting both to watch and to play with, and I'm really fortunate to have him for a partner.
You know, Lynn, I had never had a chance to play with Tim Hovland, but I did have a chance to play against him. And he's the type of player, when you play against him, he gets your adrenaline to the bursting point. You want to kill him.
Maybe he takes away some of your concentration.
It makes me concentrate much, much harder, so you really want to beat him.
Good block by Stoklos. Hovland gets it again, and it's blocked again. So they go to the dink, and Dodd hits it out.
Once again, Randy Stoklos at the net, doing what he does best, jumping and blocking. Remember, you're not allowed to touch the net at any time. First one, blocked by Stoklos. Hovland thinks he'll squeak one by. No way. Blocked by Stoklos. Then Stoklos goes for the one-arm Kong block and forces Dodd to poke it out of bounds. So Smith and Stoklos get another point.
So you might say they were a bit intimidated finally at the net after 2 straight blocks. An important play because now Smith and Stoklos can score a point as they serve. Sun starting to set over the blue Pacific. Another great block. And I don't know if you blame Hovland with the poor set, but whatever, Dodd just couldn't get it over.
I think give credit to the blocking of Randy. Right there, he's so big, just moving his hands, putting it down. And if you hit a few of those, 3 or 4 of them, and they come back in your face, hard to get the last one over.
The Sky serve. Smith is all over that. 2-hand set by Stoklos, and the dink is going to work. Chris, Randy Stoklos.
Oh, he hit it out.
Oh, he hit it wide.
Unbelievable. He had the whole left side of the court, Lynn, and he just dinked it out. St. John Smith really unhappy with himself on that play.
Should have been automatic. As we watch them, Randy Stoklos really is the only of the 4 players to set with his hands. And, of course, he was a setter in college. Why is that?
Well, he has good control, and a lot of the players are afraid to set with their hands. Smith bump sets all the time because they're afraid of getting called for the double contact or the lift. A lot of people give credit to Greg Lee and Jim Menges for instigating that rule. 2 fine players in the 70s. They had great hands, and when anybody else set the ball, they would yell, throw, throw. So they tightened up the rules, and no one could set with their hands anymore. And this is an outgrowth. Stoklos, the only player in this particular match to set with his hands. He's got the best hands on the beach, I might add.
It's a game of control and errors, and sometimes power.
Right into the corner, Smith. You talk about control, Lynn. He has some of the best ball control around.
Well, when he hit a little top spin on the ball, and that made it go over and then down. And Hovland going to work now. Takes his tank top off.
Hey, he means business. He's serious when he does that. If the trunks go, he's really serious.
Well, their lead is now down to 12-11.
They can't get it by.
Unclean up by Hovland is the call of Matt Gage, the tournament referee.
One of the most difficult things to do in beach volleyball is to serve, and then you have to run up the block, but it doesn't seem to affect Stoklos. Watch him get over the penetration, way over the net, and just no chance to get it. Stoklos just dominating this match now. He's taking control.
Like a lot of sports, tennis, for example, if you can control the net, you control the game, and that's what Stoklos is doing at this point. Another chance for a point right here. The 2-hand set by Stoklos. And they get the point. 13-12, the first time they have led in this game. They were down 7-0 at one point, and they get that all-important side change to go ahead.
The coordination is why they're doing it, Len. When Stoklos doesn't block it, Smith is there to dig it. The high rainbow, it's not deep enough. The perfect hand set, and Smith cuts it down the line.
So the team of Randy Stoklos and St. John Smith have crawled back from a 7-0 deficit, and they now lead 13-12 as they change sides. We'll come back to Hermosa. Effective at the net is now serving for the team of Stoklos and Smith. They are in front for the first time, 13-12. 2 points away from winning this game. A good dig by St. John. It goes over, and no one is there to pick it off.
And I think what's happened, Len, Hovland and Dodd have just run out of gas. They had that big lead. Things have just gotten away. A couple great plays by Smith and Stoklos. You remember those 2 digs that Dodd made and the great block. He cranks it hard as he can, but Smith right there to dig it. Fake at the net, the ball goes down. I think clearly Smith and Stoklos are in control.
Yeah, the points have come rapidly here, and of course we heard earlier from Tim Hovland that you had to side out against this team, and they haven't done that here in the last few minutes. They do it there to kind of stop the bleeding, at least temporarily, but they're in trouble.
One thing, when you are tired, you need much more help from your partner. Dodd, when he's hitting, just like then, Hovland yelling over. You need a lot of communication to help you through this period.
And they need to hit some very good serves here to force some errors from the other team of Smith and Stoklos. Hovland just has to try to hit it over, and he misses it, so it's a side out. Again, we have point game or championship point, if you'd like, and Tim Hovland, he's into it. He wants a timeout to brush the sand off. That won't be an official timeout, I don't think.
No, you're allowed sand timeouts if you burrow through the sand. A lot of players use that, though, to slow down the momentum, and Hovland's a smart guy. He knows what he's doing. Always slow it down on game point.
Win or lose, all 4 players will be in the ocean here in a few minutes when the game ends to wash off. Oh, a great block by Stoklos. An appropriate way to end the game and the tournament. St. John Smith and Randy Stoklos, your champions in the Miller Lite Hermosa Beach Open.
Just unbelievable net play by Stoklos. Great defense by Smith. Randy Stoklos really changed this particular match around. Down so far, 7-0, as you said, Lynn. Stoklos up at the net, blocks another one, and that's it.
So the #1 seeded team rolls through this tournament without a loss, and we'll be back.